It's bad behavior. It's bad behavior.
I know you're both a pair of losers. All the Paul family suck.
Yeah, man, I feel for that. I'm hoping everybody fame is good, and I'm hoping, speedy recovery. That's all I gotta say, man. Y'all gotta do better.
Can you imagine seeing that? Can you imagine being involved in that area? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine those being your friends? You can't even imagine, the trauma, the mental trauma how that would affect anybody. Even people passing the other way.
Oleksandr Usyk snaps at Jake Paul after his shocking involvement in Anthony Joshua's car accident, and the anger in his words is unmistakable. Usyk clearly is not buying the innocent act. In his view, Jake Paul's constant interference around Anthony Joshua crossed a line, turning reckless promotion into something far more dangerous and unacceptable.
This is man. It's a bit bad behavior.
Tyson Fury speaks with calm wisdom while Jake Paul looks completely exposed. One man understands humanity and responsibility, the other hides behind noise and cheap provocation. Fury's message makes Jake Paul's behavior look childish and embarrassing, especially as Anthony Joshua deals with real consequences far beyond boxing.
They are not your enemies. They are your brothers and sisters under God. We all came from Adam and Eve. In the beginning, everybody on earth. Remember that. Spread love.
Jake Paul is talking like someone who still doesn't grasp the weight of what has happened. He cracks jokes and throws tough guy lines while Anthony Joshua recovers from a serious accident. That contrast says everything about his mindset. This is not confidence, it's immaturity. Real fighters know when to stay quiet, and Jake Paul once again proves he cannot read the moment.
Funny, because I guess the point it proves about what I'm gonna say is like, humble yourself and shut the fuck up, and stop trying to act so hard. Because what I'll say is, and what I say to all these tough guys in my head, and I guess now I'm saying it publicly, is, are you bulletproof? Then shut the fuck up.
Oleksandr Usyk speaks from the heart, and that is what separates real champions from clout chasers. He shows genuine respect for Anthony Joshua and for those affected by the tragedy. No ego, no promotion, just class. Hearing this only makes Jake Paul's earlier comments sound even more tone-deaf. Usyk understands boxing brotherhood, something Jake Paul has never earned.
Usyk said, "This is an unbelievable loss. Sinna at Latif are two incredible people who are not only part of AJ's team, but also friends. My sincere condolences to their families, loved ones, and everyone who knew them. Anthony Joshua, wishing you a speedy recovery. Stay strong."
Johnny Nelson lays out the reality Jake Paul keeps avoiding. This is no longer about fights, contracts, or trash talk. Lives were lost, and Anthony Joshua could easily have been next. Nelson reminds everyone that boxing drama means nothing compared to human life. Against that backdrop, Jake Paul's behavior feels reckless and selfish.
This is a serious situation, so you've got to forget that now. This is somebody's son. These are somebody's son. This is somebody's life. These boys have lost their lives. So people need to just put the boxing thing to one side. And I understand, that could have been AJ. AJ could have been sat on the other side. Yeah, so again, it could have been a Rocky Marciano scenario all over again, but it wasn't. But still, those two other lives were just as valuable as Anthony Joshua's, and so you've got to give it the same consideration, the same passion, the same understanding, the same patience, and just when you're talking career, you know what? It's nothing. It means nothing in comparison.
Joe Rogan points out how close this came to ending in disaster. This was not a minor scare. It was survival by pure luck. Anthony Joshua walked away when he easily could not have. That reality makes Jake Paul's jokes and bravado look even worse. One man narrowly escaped tragedy, while the other keeps talking without awareness.
That's bonkers. Thank God he didn't have a seatbelt on. I never say that. Thank God he didn't have a fucking seatbelt on, because if he did,
there's no way.
He would be dead.
There's
Probably,
no way.
Or fucking...
Gerald Miller admits that even rivalry disappears in moments like this. He is not close with Anthony Joshua, yet he still shows empathy and respect. That speaks volumes. When even past rivals understand the seriousness, Jake Paul's behavior becomes impossible to defend. Real fighters are shaken, while he remains detached from responsibility.
you don't know what other people going through. And even though AJ, you know, we not on the best terms, man, I feel for this brother, man. Because it could have been my family, could have been my friends. And, you know, I feel like, man, it's mentally, like, kind of draining looking at this stuff all day online. And like I said, I didn't really see nothing too graphic until this morning. Was like, now I've seen a lot of crazy stuff in my life, man. I've seen dead bodies before and all that. Man, I don't even know how to even express myself.
Joe Rogan raises concerns many fans are thinking but few say out loud. Surviving an accident does not mean walking away untouched. Anthony Joshua's body is his livelihood, and unseen damage could change everything. This situation demands patience and seriousness. While doctors assess the long-term impact, Jake Paul's loud behavior feels completely disconnected from reality. This is about a fighter's health and future, something Anthony Joshua has earned respect for protecting.
Who knows what happened to him when he survived, right? Like, did he hit his head? Did he hit his neck? Like, what is he okay? Like, is he 100%? Or is he always going to be a little fuck from that?
Johnny Nelson speaks with the perspective of someone who understands boxing and life beyond it. Rivalries fade, but loss stays forever. Anthony Joshua is more than a fighter here. He is a son and a brother who narrowly escaped tragedy. Hearing this puts Jake Paul's actions into perspective, and not a good one. One side reflects, the other still chases attention.
It's just sad. It just makes you realise how valuable life is and how things can change in a heartbeat. So when we talk about fights and we talk about beefs and, you know, these things are just nothing when it comes to real life and losing your life. So it was a sad thing to hear, a sad thing to see. God knows how it'll affect those that saw it mentally, emotionally. But you've got to think about these two men were somebody's child, someone's brother, and that's what you've got to think about, those people that have lost their life.
Pain Game highlights a truth many overlook. Anthony Joshua is built to endure punishment inside the ring, but this kind of trauma is different. Sudden impact has limits no fighter can train for. Recovery is not about standing up and smiling. It requires time and caution. That reality makes Jake Paul's ongoing noise feel irresponsible. Strength does not make anyone invincible, and Joshua's resilience deserves respect.
Through such a severe car accident there, like, alright, he's lucky enough to still be alive, but fuck me, his body must be going through a lot right there. This is not a man who winces in pain easily, right? He gets punched for a living. And obviously, like, you're supposed to take people out of car accidents like that with great care because you don't.
Eddie Hearn focuses on what truly matters now. Medical care, family, and support come before headlines. Anthony Joshua's team closing ranks shows professionalism during a difficult moment. This is how elite boxing operates when things turn serious. In contrast, Jake Paul's behavior feels out of place, highlighting who belongs in boxing and who still treats it like a game.
A case of dealing with the inquiries and the media, and you can imagine how many people are trying to find out.
John Fury's reaction is raw and emotional, coming from a fighting family that understands risk better than most. There is no rivalry here, only relief that Anthony Joshua survived. That honesty cuts through the online noise. When voices like Fury speak, the seriousness of the moment becomes clear. Jake Paul's trolling looks smaller every time, while Joshua continues to earn respect.
AJ, you're one lucky lad. God bless you, I'm glad you're alive again. Shocked me, it has. Terrible. Anyway, good luck everybody, and try and enjoy the new year as much as.
Chris Eubank Jr. reacts with the awareness of someone raised in a boxing culture where respect matters when things turn serious. He understands that Anthony Joshua is not just a headline, but a man who narrowly avoided a life-changing outcome. Eubank Jr.'s measured response makes the noise around Jake Paul look foolish and misplaced. While he reflects on safety and reality, Jake Paul continues chasing relevance with careless words. That contrast grows clearer daily. Anthony Joshua remains surrounded by fighters who value discipline and accountability. Jake Paul appears further removed from that world every time moments demand maturity and he fails to show it. Sonny Foss outlines the timeline sharply. Joshua goes from global spotlight to fighting for his life in moments. This is not cinema or promotion. It is reality crashing in. Framed like this, Jake Paul's previous trash talk looks embarrassing and out of touch. Joshua handled business in the ring, then returned home to face something far more serious. Meanwhile, Jake Paul clings to shock value. This moment exposes how shallow that approach is. Real fighters live with consequences beyond cameras and contracts. Joshua shows strength by surviving and staying dignified, while Jake Paul reveals how little he understands the gravity of the situation.
2 weeks ago, this guy's in front of the whole world. Netflix, millions of dollars, breaks Jake Paul's jaw in 2 places. Decides to go back to Nigeria, almost dies. 2 of his closest friends pass away in the accident. You never know what days your last.
Johnny Nelson repeats a message that needs to be heard. Life outweighs every rivalry and argument. Anthony Joshua was one moment away from tragedy, and others were not as fortunate. Nelson speaks for families and for fighters who understand the cost of the sport and of life itself. Against that backdrop, Jake Paul's behavior looks empty and tone-deaf. There is no room for trolling when grief is involved. Anthony Joshua continues to be met with compassion and support because he carries himself with respect. Jake Paul continues to expose the gap between attention-seeking and true character.
It's just sad. It just makes you realise how valuable life is and how things can change in a heartbeat. So when we talk about fights and we talk about beefs and these things are just nothing when it comes to real life and losing your life. So it was a sad thing to hear, a sad thing to see. God knows how it'll affect those that saw it mentally, emotionally. But you've got to think about these 2 men who were somebody's child, someone's brother, and that's what you've got to think about, those people that have lost their life.
Gareth A. Davis breaks it down with clarity and honesty. He questioned the fight because he understood the risk, and those concerns proved valid. Anthony Joshua stepped into the situation with professionalism and composure. Jake Paul left with damage and turned it into a badge of honor instead of a lesson. That says everything. Joshua traveled, performed, and remained respectful throughout. Jake Paul chose bravado over reflection. Now, after the accident, those earlier warnings feel even more relevant. Boxing demands responsibility and awareness. Joshua showed both. Jake Paul treated danger like content. That difference is why the boxing world rallies behind Joshua and grows more critical of Jake Paul with each passing moment.
I think in fact, it's some very interesting and germane points you make there in this moment, Raheem. That I think what I've noticed, that obviously there were a kind of panoply of opinions about him fighting Jake Paul to take it back a week and a half. I mean, I was critical of that fight being signed, first of all, because I worried about the dangers for Jake Paul. He got his jaw broken at the end of the day and kind of used the scars as a flag in his new moon, delusionally optimistic in his words, as he is about these things. So Anthony Joshua went to America a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, played the role which he needed to play, was very classy.
Showbiz the adult delivers the facts carefully and responsibly, exactly as this story should be handled. No speculation, no drama, just confirmed information and concern for Anthony Joshua and his family. This approach highlights how serious the situation is. While responsible voices focus on accuracy and empathy, Jake Paul continues to be associated with reckless commentary. Joshua's accident is not fuel for jokes or clout. It is a reminder of how fragile life can be. The boxing community responds with unity and respect. Jake Paul once again finds himself on the wrong side of the moment, proving that attention without accountability has no place when reality strikes.
Joshua's SUV struck the stationary truck. So I just want to give you guys the breaking news. Unfortunately, Anthony Joshua was involved in a car accident in Nigeria. Prayers to Anthony H.A. Joshua.
As the dust settles, this situation leaves the boxing world with serious questions far beyond wins and losses. Anthony Joshua survived something that could have ended everything. The response from real fighters shows where true respect lies. Oleksandr Usyk, Tyson Fury, Eddie Hearn, Johnny Nelson, and many others reacted with humanity and maturity, while Jake Paul's name continues to surface in ways that expose how little responsibility he shows when moments turn real. This was never about promotion or online noise. It was about life, loss, and survival. Joshua handled every stage of this ordeal with dignity, from the aftermath of the accident to the silence he maintained while others spoke recklessly. That silence speaks louder than any trash talk. Going forward, fans will watch closely to see whether Jake Paul finally learns to step back or continues chasing attention at the wrong time. One thing is clear: the boxing community stands firmly behind Anthony Joshua, and this moment has only strengthened that bond. If you respect fighters who carry themselves with class and accountability, make sure you support that energy. Drop your thoughts in the comments, share this video, and subscribe for more real boxing talk that cuts through the noise and tells it.